But what it showed to me is that in the parish they're thinking, we know the lives of 5 kids, right? And their harsh reality. How many other kids are in this situation? It's like the veil was lifted off their eyes. Now they're coming to us, how can we do more? How can we do more? We know there's more kids that are like this. Just from their personal contact with 3, individuals in this really unfortunate incident, right? Then now they're realizing there's many, many more who are like this. So I'm just sharing this as an example of what happened in the case of these 3 kids. Father John also, my fiance works for Community Renewal Society, which is an organization in Chicago that's been around for 130 years as a congregational organizer. So basically they work with different faith-based organizations around policy and social issues, basically on social justice. And so he specifically is working on a ceiling bill to increase employment opportunities for ex-offenders, and Father John got on a bus with 50 people, mostly from African American communities, and spoke in Capitol Hill, as you see here, about divine justice. And you see him standing there with the kids too at Capitol Hill. So this is an enormous thing. I give Father John as an example of how one parish located in the most affluent area can have an impact on the individual lives of people who come through the door, and then be a part of a larger network, right, to advocate for those whose voices aren't heard, who are often disenfranchised and marginalized. So I give you this example. So finally, some precautions to kind of wrap it up. In doing urban mission work, you're not trying to convert people, and it's not a cattle call to the Orthodox Church. You're really there just to be present, a loving and prayerful presence in other people's lives. Avoid the messianic complex, like I'm here to save people, what can I do? They have too many problems, what can I do, what can I do? And whenever people ask me, like, what can I do? This family has so many problems, I'm like, it's not about you. You're there to pray for them and to give the knowledge and the loving presence that you have, and that's it. You connect to another person, and they might have a few more answers or resources. So don't develop this messianic complex of we have the answer, we're the savior of this community or this group of people. Do not be rice Christians. Who's ever heard that term before? Rice Christians. So in looking at the history of Christian mission work in China, the term came about in the sense that rice was given to starving Chinese people in exchange for their acceptance of Jesus Christ. So it was a conditional terms of missionizing people. I'll give you rice, you tell me you accept Jesus Christ as your savior. So that's not at all the way that the Orthodox Church missionizes people, and we don't want to we want to have an unconditional response to the people that we get, just whatever their racial or ethnic group, whatever their background is, whatever their situation is in life. We're not here to judge whether or not they deserve the aid or the support or the service that we're giving. That's not our role. So as another precaution, it'd still be uncomfortable for many people. Like remember that committee I sat in on the parish, where we don't want those kind of people around our kids. There will be people who feel very uncomfortable with this idea. So it takes a lot of patience. And eventually the glamour will wear off. And then you're stuck in the grind of, this is the same problem, this is the same issue, this person has been through here 3 times, they've been in and out of prison 20 times, this woman keeps doing this and everything like that. And that's where the real mission work starts. It's not at the beginning when you're excited and you're inspired and it's glamorous and I'm helping people. It's like 5, 10 years later when you're still there, still dragging them out of that situation, still showing up in court for them, still visiting them in prison, still being just present for them. So these are some kind of disclaimers that I give. So to wrap things up, identify some food for thought if you're interested in this. Identify a target community and organize a listening campaign. It's really hard for people to listen to others because we all have solutions and we think we know exactly what's right. Versus listening to people. If you went, and talked to people in the surrounding community, their idea of what would revitalize their community may be very different from what we think. Involve your target population in the planning process. If you're going to do a soup kitchen, why not have people who come to soup kitchens come and talk to you about what it's like for them to be in a soup kitchen and to come in day and day out, right? Some examples would be like prisoner reentry. Everybody can write a letter, and all of their addresses are public information. You can go onto Department of Correction websites and write to anybody you want. It's the biggest mail database in the world. Mentor at-risk youth. You get involved if you're in a specific community, you know, have a basketball camp, just be present, take them to the movies, do arts program, do something, just be present in their lives. Start a free clinic. If you have a lot of lawyers or doctors in your church, you can do free medical or legal services. You can promote education through tutoring or post-secondary options. You can do emergency funds for victims of violence. So this is another thing that I've been working on in the neighborhood, is that nobody's planning on burying their children, and very few families buy life insurance. And so when unfortunately homicide takes place, families are left with very difficult choices of how they're going to bury their children. More often than not, they have to cremate their children. They're not even able to afford a burial plot. But if a church is able to fundraise to give $500 to a family in that moment of crisis, it does an unbelievable amount of consolation and help to that family, so that they're not forced to make very, very difficult decisions. You can start a community garden, open a safe haven. If you're a church located in an urban area, right, with you know, like this area, even just making the space available for a tutoring program. If you have a basketball gym, let kids come in and play basketball, just providing a space. Because in communities like this, there's a lack of safe recreational space for kids. That's why they play in alleys, that's why they gangbang, because they're not given other places to go a lot of times. You know, become a chaplain, sponsor an intercity league, learn another language, which is very important, and translate. Obviously, I'm biased, everyone should know Spanish. And then offer a job and just be present at the end of all of it. Be a consistent presence in the lives of people. I want to share this one quote of St. Innocent of Alaska before concluding. St. Innocent, great missionary saint, wrote, "Make it your business to find out all about the religion, rites, customs, taste, disposition, and all that makes up the life of your parishioners, more especially in order to be able to, the more surely and easily to influence them. No, it imports not a little for your success that you should do justice to any good customs they may have." So, in social work language, St. Innocent is using a strength-based approach when he approaches different people. This community, even if it has foreclosed homes and high rates of crime and unemployment, has a lot of strengths too. So look for the strengths, leverage those strengths and resources. So to wrap everything up, okay, and the life of the age to come. So why do you think, you know, maybe I'll wait until the two of you present, but why do you think this presentation was titled, "A Look for the Resurrection of the Dead"?
I know the answer because I was having dinner with you.
Oh yeah, you're eating dinner.
Because a resurrection can not only be when you're dead, but a resurrection of your spirit, a resurrection of your faith and your community.
Yeah. Excellent. Good eavesdropping. So, what is the ultimate purpose behind all of this? The ultimate purpose is working out our salvation exactly where God has planted us and helping those around us, right? To transfigure our own lives and through that, the lives of those around us. And then I love these quotes. These are two really powerful quotes from Father Seraphim Rose, who said, "All our sanctity is based on having one's feet straight on the ground, and while being on earth, constantly having the mind lifted upwards. And what is most pleasing to God is your perseverance, your humility in working out your salvation exactly where He has placed you." So as much as I would love to live in the Republic of Georgia, my favorite country in the entire world, the most beautiful churches, I was born in Chicago and God put me on the west side, and that's where I'm planted. You guys were planted here in this parish, and your work is here. Look at where you're planted, not in this, you know, the world as you would like it to be, or our fantasy mission field and all those other things. Like, it's very, very tough advice to take, but once you accept it, it's really exciting and inspirational. So, I was going to share a little, how am I doing on time? Let me see. Okay, I'm not going to. At the end, I brought a little clip, unless you guys give me 3 to 4 minutes. You okay? Okay. So, I wanted to share a little clip. There's a documentary that was released this year called The Interrupters. Has anybody seen it? Okay, yes. This is a documentary about the work that I'm involved in Chicago, and they involved some people that I work with. It's about, violence prevention work in very difficult neighborhoods. So I want to share a very inspirational example of you that might inspire you about the potential relationship and impact you can have on somebody's life. And I always show this to youth groups on the Sunday of Forgiveness. This is the best confession I've ever heard in my entire life. So it inspires a lot of people. Okay. So the scene here is that there's a young man whose name is Little Mikey. He's convicted. He did 3 years in prison for armed robbery. And he's going back to the site where he committed this crime to ask for forgiveness. Okay? So.
How's everything been going with you? Job search and everything else?
It's been hard. I ain't found no job yet, but I ain't gonna give up.
I've been working with Lil Mikey for a while. Even while he was in prison, he kept stressing he wanted to apologize to them people we robbed at the barbershop.
It was the one thing. So we did it to get more guns.
We don't know how this fight turned out. We going to talk to them.
If they accept it or not, it's still like, I know I made a mistake. And I'm asking for y'all forgiveness.
Got the nervous going here?
I think I'm gonna start feeling it when I get in the shop. How y'all doing? I understand that on August 24, 2007, that me and 2 other fellas came here and stuck the place up. I know I'm deeply sorry. I know I made a mistake. I was 15 and I was following the crowd, but now I'm older. I'm more mature than I was, and I wanted to let y'all know that I was sorry for what I did on my behalf. I don't know how these 2 other brothers feel about themselves, but I know I made a complete 360 during my almost 3 years being incarcerated.
Well, with me, my daughter was here,